Hello, it is Foundation Friday, April 22nd, 2022. My beloved New York Mets, wearing the silly Mets Hawaiian shirt today. My beloved New York Mets are here in town, in Phoenix, Arizona. In fact, they're about to take the field, or possibly they have about 5 minutes ago for the first of a 3-game series here against the Arizona Diamondbacks. My beautiful wife, Michelle, and I will be at the game on Sunday. And I will be coming to you from there with my Sunday Fun Day Facebook Live video. But for now, it's another in our multi-part series on the fantastic foundational book, The Magic of Thinking Big, by Dr. David J. Schwartz. We are in Chapter 7, Manage Your Environment and Go First Class. And Dr. Schwartz cautions us to be extra cautious about this. Don't let negative thinking people, what he calls negators, destroy your plan to think yourself to success. Negators are everywhere, and they seem to delight in sabotaging the positive progress of others. And that includes you and me. And then he's going to tell a whole bunch of stories of hanging around some negative people. And I could tell you a bunch, and you could probably tell a bunch as well. Similar to how a person long time in a business or in a job or living in a neighborhood or wherever and wants to tell you how everything works and how it goes and who to stay away from and what to do to make it look like you're busy but don't have to do too much work and whatever. And that person's almost always stuck in an unsuccessful state. They've been in the company 25 years without a promotion, they're not making a lot of money, all that kind of stuff, or their business is stagnant, but they will not hesitate to tell you all the negative things that are going on and that could affect the view. So, smart thing to do is to get away from these people. And he tells a story about being in a carpool with a bunch of negators, as he calls them, and he decided to switch to a different carpool. So, there was a story about someone who did that. He finishes the story by saying that young fellow changed his environment. Wasn't that smart? So, if you're around negative people, it's real difficult, of course, when those negative people are in your family to change the environment, to stay away from them. But it happens. You stay away from them as much as you can, and you stay around more positive people as much as you can. You read positive things, you input positive information, positive videos, you stay around positive people as much as you can so that you can negate the negators' influence on you. Make no mistake about it. You are judged by the company you keep. Billy Malkin is here. Great seeing you, my friend. By the company you keep, birds of a feather do flock together. Fellow workers are not all alike. Some are negative, others positive. Some work because they have to. Others are ambitious and work for advancement. Some associates belittle everything the boss says or does. Others are much more objective and realize they must be good followers before they can be good leaders. How we think is directly affected by the group we're in, so be sure you're in the flock that thinks right. Get into that flocking group of people that thinks right. There are pitfalls to watch in your work environment. In every group, there are people who, secretly aware of their own inadequacies, want to stand in your way and prevent you from making progress. Many ambitious people have been laughed at, even threatened, because they tried to be more efficient and produce more. But let's face it, some people, being jealous, want to make you feel embarrassed because you want to move upward. That happened to me on a summer job back when I was in college working temp to pay my way through school. And I worked these crappy temp jobs, clearing out the rusty old stuff in the back shed and sweeping up floors in factories and unloading trucks with heavy crap and like unbelievable crappy jobs. And then this great one came along. And the temp agency guy told me, he said, man, you play your cards right, you get this cushy job for the whole summer. It was really close to where I was going to school up in the Boston area, so it was only like 10 minutes away. And it was working in a Xerox location. And all it was filled with really high-speed, high-powerful copy machines, and we would get orders from businesses and the schools in the area and whatever to print a bunch of stuff. They need 500 copies of this. Collated, double-sided, stapled. You have to program and set up the whole machine, and then basically you just sat there for an hour or two while the machine ran, and in case you had to sit, there's one person sitting in each machine, you programmed it in according to what the job said, And then you just sat there watching, and when it jammed, oh, I had to take out, all 50 copies or whatever and put in the right colored paper and start over the whatever. Cushiest job in the world. I mean, you're setting things up and you're sitting there. And each job had all the specs on it and whatever. And I'll get to that as I end the story here. But I remember being called up to the shop steward, who was up on the second floor in a windowed office where he could oversee everything. And he called me up once early on. It was a 2-week trial, and he told me if you work out in these 2 weeks, you get it for the whole summer. It paid more than these other crappy jobs. It wasn't being outside in the summer heat or dealing with getting tetanus if a rusty shard went through your glove and all this kind of stuff. It was the easiest, cushioniest job in the world. They had a softball team for the company there that I was played 2 games on the softball team in those 2 weeks. I mean, fun, easy, close by, high paying compared to anything else I was getting. This is great. And he called me up to the office and he said, hey, here's the deal. You see on the spec sheet that you get where it tells you all the colored paper and whether it's collated, double-sided, this, that, stapled, whatever, you see this number in the upper corner. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what that number is. He goes, that's what it's rated for. I go, okay, rated, whatever, 72, 48, 103, what's the rating? He goes, that's the number of minutes that it's supposed to take for you to do the job. So when it says 75, that's 1 hour and 15 minutes. I go, okay, great, thanks. And I'm thinking, what's the point? He goes, here's the point. Here's the thing. You're doing every job a lot faster. So when it says 75 and you bring it in like 62, 47. He goes, and you're skipping you're skipping the daily coffee break at 10 a.m. Like we get in at 8 a.m., there's a coffee break at 10 a.m. and a lunch at noon. And I'm like I need a coffee break from what? I don't drink coffee. I don't need a break. I'm sitting, the whole job's a break. I'm sitting on a chair, like staring off into space. Like I have to go over there and sit with people for 15 minutes. Everyone stopped all the machines and went over and sat down and read the paper and drank a cup of coffee or whatever, and then went back and had to restart all the machines. And like I said, you're not going to stop it perfectly, so you had to unjam it. You had like 17 of the 50 copies had already come out for that page where you had to take them out. So it was a complete waste of time to stop the machine, start it up again. You had to reprogram the whole thing and unclog it and whatever. Like, to what? Sit around for 15 minutes over there instead of over here? He was like, look, company workers went on strike for that benefit years ago. We fought hard for that coffee break, and you've got to take it. If you don't take that coffee break, management could see. And if they see you don't need the coffee break, they're going to start to think nobody needs the coffee break. And besides, you're not being, part of the camaraderie of the team around here. And we like to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll take the coffee break. Okay, Then I get called back to his office again. Oh, that's when the rating thing happened. First was the coffee break. Then I go, or whatever. Like I remember, 45 years ago. But all I know is he told me, the key thing was he told me, I'm doing the jobs too fast, slow down. That was the second thing. So number one, take the coffee break. Number two, he said the similar thing. He said, look, if you start bringing in the jobs 10, 15, 20 minutes earlier, the rating could start to go down. Management will see that, like, if you could do it 48 minutes, why is it rated at 75? Maybe they should lower it to 48 or to 50, and then everyone's going to have to work harder because of you. And I'm thinking to myself, work harder? Press buttons? Like, shift paper around? Like, this is working hard? But okay. Everyone's, the pressure to perform. You're kidding me. But of course, as anyone, if you're watching this and you went to college and you had a job, or in high school, you were likely overqualified for whatever job you could get at the time, because if you're going to college, and now that I think about it, there's probably nobody in there had gone to college and they were working it as a career. So I'm pretty sure I was overqualified. But anyway, all I remember is that him telling me, slow down, because you could make everyone else look bad. And sure enough, when I went to his, okay, I'll slow down, I'll bring it in out the when I went in for the review at the end of the 2 weeks, and I was all excited. I'm like, here, I'm going to get the yes. I'm going to get another 12 weeks of this cushy, high-paying, fun, easy, sit there and do nothing job and play softball at nights. And, this is the greatest. Instead of wondering where the next job's coming from, and you got a 3-day job here in a 1 week and you're off for 3 days and you don't get paid here, and like, this would just be great. Calls me up, I'm all excited. Of course, I'm performing fantastically and I'm doing great. And he says, yeah, we're not going to be able to keep you on for the whole summer, and wouldn't give me a reason why. But obviously that's the reason why, because I wasn't fitting in, because I was too ambitious, I was working too well, I was too efficient, I was too good at the job or whatever, and they let me go. So if this were my chapter, that would be my story on the negators, who are, for whatever reason, wanting to bring down the people that are ambitious and more efficient. And it wasn't like I was ambitious looking to, I don't know, get a permanent job there and move ahead or whatever, but I'm sure that's happened maybe to you or someone you know on job. So the key, as Dr. Schwartz suggests, is to ignore such negative thinkers in your midst. Often the remarks made in your direction are not so personal as you might at first think. They're merely a projection of the speaker's own feeling of failure and discouragement. And here's a special word of caution. Be careful about your source of advice. And that's where he talks about the freelance advice givers, these freelance advisors who know the ropes. They know how things work. They'll tell you, but of course they're stuck. So make it a rule to seek advice from people who know, not from these self-appointed, I'll tell you all the inside stuff from the negatives, the negators. There's a lot of incorrect thinking that successful people are inaccessible, but the plain truth is that they are not. As a rule, it's the more successful people who are the most humble and most ready to help. So ask for help from the right people, and don't pay attention to the negators and the jealous, inferior feeling people. What does he say here? Did I read this part here? I think I did. Some folks being jealous want to make you feel embarrassed just because you want to move upward, right? So let's conclude the end of this chapter for today. Dr. Schwartz teaches us finally to go first class when you have questions. Seeking advice from a failure is like consulting a quack on how to cure cancer. So look for advice from successful people, not from the failures. Hang around the successful people, not the failures. Hang around people that are going places, not the people that just want to sit there and stay at the same minimum wage or the same crappy job or the same crappy position forever, or not build their businesses because they're fine. Get around people that want to grow their businesses. That's exciting. That's fun. That will propel you more likely than hanging around the losers to more success. And hopefully that's why you're here watching my video. So that'll do it on this week's section of The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David J. Schwartz. As always, I highly recommend you go out and get yourself a copy and read it over and over as I have through the years. It's helped me, and I have used it to help others. In fact, looking a little bit ahead, next week will contain one line about building your business that I have used over and over and over when I am looking for team members, that has served me extremely well, and I've taught many entrepreneurs and business owners the exact line that's coming up next Foundation Friday in our next of our multi-part series on the fantastic foundational book, The Magic of Thinking Big. Thank you for being here today. I'll be back again tomorrow on Social Media Saturday.